Good morning. My name is Dave Jones. I have the privilege of serving as California's Insurance Commissioner. I want to welcome you here this morning to the state capitol to talk about a very important issue for consumers. With me today are representatives from the Consumer Federation of California, the Consumers for Auto Reliability and Safety, the Automotive Machinists Union, the California Alliance for Retired Americans, the Congress of California Seniors, United Policyholders, CalPIRG, and many other consumer groups and representatives. I want to thank them for joining us today as a part of this coalition of consumer groups and labor organizations concerned about protecting consumers. We're here today as a coalition to protest any efforts to pass end-of-session anti-consumer legislation or last-minute gut and amend efforts to pass bills dealing with aftermarket collision repair parts, bills such as Assembly Bill 1098 and Senate Bill 1460. These two bills terminate a 20-year legacy of consumer protection standards and would allow insurers without adequate checks or balances to force consumers' automobiles to be repaired with potentially substandard and unsafe aftermarket parts. Furthermore, these bills also eliminate the requirement in existing law that insurers warrant the safety and performance of their parts. These bills eliminate the ability of the insurance commissioner and the Department of Insurance to regulate the use of these aftermarket parts and to otherwise protect consumers. Since I was sworn in as insurance commissioner, I've emphasized time and again that job number one of the California Department of Insurance is to ensure that consumers are treated fairly and their rights fully protected. One of the ways in which I'm empowered to do so is through the enforcement of the Fair Claims Settlement Practices regulations, which have been on the books for 20 years and which ensure that insurers have met all of their obligations in adjusting and settling insurance claims. We also regulate insurers' reliance on the usage of non-original equipment manufactured parts, or what are commonly known as aftermarket parts in collision repairs. As such, we work to ensure that insurers are held accountable and comply with these regulations, and that insurance companies warrant that aftermarket parts are at least equal in kind, quality, safety, fit, and performance to those parts manufactured by auto manufacturers. But just as this legislative session is coming to a close, we've begun to hear more and more talk of an attempt to weaken these important consumer protections. And that's exactly what bills such as AB 1098 and SB 1460 do. I strongly opposed these bills when they were moving through the legislative process earlier this year. These bills would have nullified long-standing regulations that have given the Insurance Commissioner and the Department of Insurance the authority to strongly protect consumers for the past 20 years. The legislature has already determined that these bills should not move forward. Additionally, we're already moving ahead at the Department of Insurance to further strengthen these consumer protections, not take them away. But most troubling, there are rumors that the contents of these bills that the legislature has already decided not to act upon could be gutted and amended into other bills. Consumers simply deserve better. And let me be clear, there is absolutely no benefit to moving forward with these bills, absolutely no benefit to consumers, absolutely no benefit to legislation that would strip away the rights and protections of consumers. So with that, at this time I'd like to welcome Richard Holliber, Executive Director of the Consumer Federation of California, to say a few words about the Consumer Federation's concern and other consumers groups' concern about the possibility of these anti-consumer bills moving forward. Richard?
Good morning. Thank you very much. We are very happy to be here with Insurance Commissioner Dave Jones and with other consumer and labor organizations to support our insurance commissioner in his leadership in protecting consumers, to make sure that when they have a vehicle and it's insured and it's repaired, that repair is of the very highest quality. That is the obligation under law. Unfortunately, that's always under attack. The insurance commissioner is attempting to put some greater teeth into those regulations, and we stand with him. The end of a legislative session, the closing days of a legislative session, is not the time to spring a bill that would change consumer protection laws. And the only reason that a bill of that nature may surface in the next 2 or 3 days is because it can't stand the light of day. The kind of scrutiny that legislation deserves cannot occur in the course of 2 or 3 days. So when you hear rumblings that a bill may be amended that is harmful to consumers and it may pop up in the last 2 or 3 days, it's for one purpose only, and that is to sneak it through without the kind of public hearing process, opportunity for input, opportunity for deliberation that we all deserve. So when we heard these rumblings, we began to work with our state insurance commissioner and with other consumer groups, and we're very pleased to be able to say that a coalition of consumer and labor is standing together with our insurance commissioner. It includes Consumer Federation of California, Consumers for Automobile Reliability and Safety, the International Association of Machinists, the California Teamsters, the United Auto Workers, the Communication Workers of America, Consumers Union, which is the publisher of Consumer Reports magazines, California Alliance for Retired Americans, Consumer Action, United Policyholders, CalPERG, and the Congress of California Seniors. So you have in our coalition all of the leading consumer organizations that are working on insurance regulation, and you have every single labor union that represents workers in the auto repair industry. And that's very important because we have one common concern, and that is quality of repairs, repairs that restore a vehicle to their pre-accident condition. There's been effort after effort after effort to flood the market in California with cheap imitation junk aftermarket parts. As a consumer, you have the right to get a quality part, either an original equipment manufacturer part or a aftermarket part that is equivalent in quality, safety, and performance to an original equipment manufacturer part. But we know that there are parts on the market, the majority of aftermarket parts that are on the market are inferior. They're inferior in safety, they're inferior in performance, they could jeopardize the lives of drivers and passengers, and they will diminish the value of that car. So we are fighting to eliminate those kinds of products. But over and over, there are efforts by the insurance industry, certain elements, not all, but certain elements within the insurance industry, to make it easier to get those parts on the market. And one way they're trying to do that is through this phony certification process. They are propping up this notion that a certified part is a quality part. But let me tell you, who does the certifying? The industry itself. These certification programs were created by the insurance industry and are funded by the aftermarket parts industry, and according to the California Bureau of Automotive Repair, they are not good quality. They did a study, 4 out of 5 aftermarket parts that were certified, they said were inferior, not equal to original equipment parts, and that they did nothing to protect the consumer against a bad part because the certifier will not warranty the part. We have to continue to hold the insurance company responsible. Any last-minute bill that would shift that responsibility off of the insurance industry or create a phony certification process is something that we will all stop, and we will stand with our insurance commissioner in doing that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Richard. Now I'd like to invite Rosemary Shahan, the founder of the nationally recognized Consumers for Auto Reliability and Safety, a leading consumer advocacy organization who places at the forefront of its advocacy safety of automobiles and vehicles. I'd like to invite Rosemary as well to the podium. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Jones, and we especially appreciate that we have an insurance commissioner who's willing to stand up to the insurance industry on behalf of consumers. And this is an important issue for consumers because so many cars are in crashes every year, and people are concerned, rightfully so, about the quality of the parts that are put on their cars. And according to Consumer Reports, they did a survey and reported on it in their March 2006 issue, and they surveyed 21,000 subscribers to Consumer Reports and recommended don't let an insurer pressure you to use a specific repair shop. And consumers who were not pressured were tended to be much more satisfied with their repair parts. And also they recommended insist on original equipment manufacturer parts if you want them. So if you want to go out of your way, if you have an older car, to get non-OEM parts, fine. But they found that of those who felt pressured by the insurer to use non-OEM fenders, doors, bumpers, and auto repair parts, only 37% of those people were very satisfied with the quality of the repair versus 72% of those who did not feel pressured. And as you know, Consumer Reports is a gold standard, and 21,000 responses is a very robust and authoritative survey. You should not have to worry that your insurance company is cutting corners on the repairs and tricking you into getting substandard parts that don't fit, may deteriorate prematurely, and significantly reduce the value of your car. And we know of some consumers who are willing to take calls from reporters if you'd like more details about their experiences. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosemary. Finally, I'd like to invite Skip Hatch from the Automotive Machinist Union to make some comments as well. Skip?
Good morning. Thank you. From the perspective of a technician who is a quality craftsman that wants to do a good job and produce a good finished product to restore your car to where it was before the accident, it's very difficult using non-OEM parts. Typically, there's something about them that doesn't fit right. Second perspective is from the safety aspect, especially with steering components. If they're inferior parts made with metals that are lower in strength than the quality OEM parts. I don't know about you, but I certainly wouldn't want to put my family in the car, truck, SUV, and have that concern. From the technician's perspective, it takes extra time to fit these parts, and either the technician or the body shop itself may or may not get paid for that additional time to fit those parts. There's generally a book time that's associated with making a repair, and trying to jerry-rig a part and work with it, drill holes that aren't in the right position, whatever it may be. There's not necessarily book time to do that. And who gets stuck with that? It's either the technician and or the body shop owner. So there's several aspects that come into play on this, and the bottom line is getting a good quality car that looks right when you're done. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Skip. Thank you very much, Skip. So at this time, we're prepared to take any questions you might have about our very strong concern that these two bills would be allowed to resurface at the end of session, and the harm that they would bring to consumers, and the extent to which they would undermine our ability to protect consumers and make sure that we continue in place 20 years of settled regulations that ensure, no pun intended, that consumers are protected. So with that, we're happy to take any questions that folks might have. Mr. Lifsher. Yes, although, as you know, Mark is a very keen and astute longtime observer of the Capitol, these rumors have a tendency to be based on a fact, and one sees things popping up in the last days of session. And so we're here standing united as the leading consumer organizations and as the state's consumer protector in the insurance space to say that these bills shouldn't be permitted to move forward, and they shouldn't, the contents of them shouldn't be picked up and moved into some other bill.
How about a giant workers' comp deal? Should that be allowed to happen at the last 2 days of session, or a complete overhaul of the pension system for millions of Californians?
You know, I'm not going to comment generally on the processes of the legislature, but I am going to comment on these two bills. And I think that given that the legislature has already concluded that these bills shouldn't move forward, it would be really bad for consumers to see these bills reemerge in some other vein or some other context. It is my area, and again, our focus today is on these particular bills and the harm that they would bring to consumers. Oh, I do. Well, we've expressed that opinion in a public statement we released the other day, and we're happy to share it with folks through our licensed rating bureau, the Workers' Compensation Insurance Ratings Bureau. We asked that they analyze the costs and savings associated with the proposal. That analysis has been made publicly available. It's very detailed. It walks through both the improvements with regard to permanent disability payouts as well as the cost savings. And we stand by that analysis. It's out there for the public to see, and I know it's being utilized by the legislature as they deliberate on this proposal.
I find it ironic that you were a former assemblyman who participated in Condemn, and here you are complaining about the process.
You know, what I found was all of my bills had to go through the entire process. I never had the benefit of being afforded a gut and amend. So, I think
Certainly you voted on something.
certainly at the end of session, we're asked to vote on a lot of things. And you do your best to try to analyze them. But these particular bills we have analyzed, and they don't work for consumers, and they shouldn't be allowed to move forward. Our issue is with these bills and the policy content of these bills and the fact that they shouldn't be permitted to move forward in the last days of session because they'd be bad for consumers.
So have you talked to Steinberg, others, and voiced your concerns? What have they said?
We are raising our concerns with every member of the legislature, and the consumer organizations you see arrayed behind you here have joined together in a joint letter raising these concerns, and we've shared them with all of the legislators, and we're hopeful that the legislators will see that this is a real problem for consumers, and they won't support moving these bills forward.
What's your connection with this,
Hamilton meat ruling. Yeah, I think our focus again is on these particular bills and the possibility that these bills might move forward. Say again?
my colleague reported this morning that they may be all passing in.
Again, all sorts of rumors floating around. Our focus is on these particular bills and the content in these bills. Other questions? All right, thank you very much.